Hi, I'm John Barrett. I'm the CEO of Auctus Surgical. We're developing a dynamic vertebral body tethering system to treat pediatric scoliosis in a non-fusion way. Just some of the highlights here. We've got an experienced team. We're going to eliminate fusion surgeries and most of bracing and then allow patients to retain full mobility throughout the rest of their life, which is pretty important. Scoli market, 6.9 million people roughly in the US. 150,000 of these advance to some form of treatment, which usually is bracing at first. Bracing is often not effective because patients just don't comply. It's hard to get a child to wear a brace for 2 years, 24/7. Eventually, 40,000 or so of these patients advance to fusion surgery. And this is what we're really trying to avoid. Very complex surgery, lots of hardware, complications, and often more surgeries. So a new therapy that's bubbled up in the last 6 years or so is called vertebral body tethering. This started with off-label use of a system from Zimmer that was called the Dynesys system that was designed for adult lumbar correction. So a bunch of these pediatric surgeons just kind of rigged this to create this tethering system that works. And they got great results in many cases with this system. And it's simply applying screws on the lateral side of the spine, connecting them with this white flexible tethering system, tensioning the tethering system between each level, and then letting growth modulation take over, meaning when the child grows, half the spine is affixed and the spine grows straight. It's really an elegant procedure, but there's some limitations because it really wasn't designed for this. But lots of surgeons are doing it. Families are demanding this form of therapy, but right now it's only Zimmer with 1 HDE approval. This is the power of this procedure. This is a patient from Dr. Diab at UCSF, 11-year-old girl who was certainly facing fusion surgery. He decided to put a tether in instead. 2 years later, she has a perfectly straight spine. This is what can happen, but again, I'll get into some of the limitations later. But fundamentally, you get growth, you get motion, less hardware, and it's just a far better outcome overall with tethering versus fusion surgery. This is what we're doing at Auctus. We're developing a dynamic system that's adjustable with a magnetic controller system. So a magnetic external driver talks to an internal driver in a completely non-surgical way to tension that tether and release that tether, whatever the case may be. This kind of shows you how this works. The lateral screws are much smaller than the Zimmer system. They're affixed, as I said, in the lateral vertebral bodies. The engine is placed at the bottom. The tether is inserted through all the individual screws, and then you can tension the system with the external controller, and that sort of turns the spool and straightens the spine, and growth will help too. But as soon as you get to a straight spine, you can then release the whole thing, and that allows full motion forever. We've done some pig studies, kept pigs alive for 10 weeks. These pigs doubled in size, and we put a lot of stress and strain on the system, and so far it's performing really well. This gave us the knowledge to make some adjustments, and now we're moving towards a design freeze. This is actually very good news. About a month ago, we got a notice of allowance on our primary patent, and so in about 2 weeks, we're going to get this issued, and it's a really comprehensive patent that covers everything that we're doing, and then some. And this is a big win, just given the busyness of this patent space. We also have a partnership with UCSF where we've licensed magnetically growing rod technology, which is also for scoliosis correction and for limb lengthening. Recently won the 2020 Best New Spine Award for Orthopedics this week, which actually is a nice award because the judges are all spine surgeons and industry pros, so they really know the space pretty well. Won multiple pediatric device consortium pitch competitions. Team is a group very experienced, worked together before, had a successful exit in the spinal implant space with Coaline Innovations. And really, these guys are all very well-known deformity spine surgeons in the US. In particular, Mohammed and Harsh and Steve have done hundreds of tethering procedures between them. So they really understand what has to happen here to make this system more effective. 20,000 kids roughly are in the world that get tethered today. These are younger kids that are still growing. But really, we want to move to the earlier intervention space. That's the 100,000 patients. Don't wait till the curve gets to be 50 degrees. Get it when it's 30 or 40, and you can avoid bracing. and fusion surgery. Adolescent idiopathics are skeletally mature patients that are getting fused, but because our system is dynamic and adjustable, we're going to be able to insert the system, make small adjustments over time, and gradually straighten out that spine. So that gives us a $3 billion market potential. Everyone says pediatrics are small markets. This is not a small market. Shriners they have collected tons of data because they've done a couple thousand procedures, and the cost savings are dramatic. $50,000 versus $150 for fusion, but it's length of stay, and it's really long-term where the fusion kids are often going to have more surgeries in their life. So I mentioned Zimmer before. Fundamentally, that tether breaks. It can be under a lot of tension, and when it breaks, you have to do a reoperation. And it's not adjustable, so the patients can outgrow the tether, and that creates another situation where you have to do surgery. And obviously, we are addressing those issues. This is an overcorrection situation where, if you got to that middle X-ray where the curve is largely straight. This is a double curve, by the way. You'd want to stop it right there. With our system, you could release the tether right then and there, and you would have a great outcome. But instead, this patient kept growing, and they created another scoli curve. So that created another operation. And this happens in 25% of the tethering cases because you just don't know at the time of operation what kind of correction you really want to make. So for us, we're just marching towards an IDE. So we're doing preclinical testing, getting to our design freeze, and we've submitted for our pre-submission meeting for our IDE. Controller also is important here. We're working on this. The controller we want it to be smarter. We really want to know what's going on inside there with tension and how much tether is being released. So for now, we are in the middle of a $2 million raise to get us to the IDE. And by the start of next year, we hope to be beginning that process, beginning that IDE. We've had a lot of discussions with the FDA. They're very supportive of this therapy. They've been very supportive of pediatric therapies in the last few years. It's a big initiative at the FDA. So we've had a lot of good conversations. As I mentioned, we're in the middle of a $2 million raise. Lots of angel investors, mostly surgeons. So why us? Fundamentally, this is one of the holy grails of spine surgery. Non-fusion correction of deformity. So many people have been trying to do something like this and just haven't been able to do it. We know that the families want this, surgeons want this. Everybody wants to have a non-fusion option because it's such a better procedure. And I think we've got the team to do it at Auctus with the experience and the track record. And that's what I've got. Thank you very much, folks.